Alright, I'm gonna try to do this in one take. My name's Philip Amstutz. I'm from Butler, Ohio, which is about 30 minutes from where I sit right now. I'm using my GI Bill to take music production here at LA Film School. It's my target audience to try to upload a video. I've been through the start of this class once before, but then I had a traumatic event in my life I was overcome by events. It was something thrust upon me that I didn't anticipate happening, which made me stop after 1 week of this class and take a 6-week time off while I worked out some Veterans Affairs legal paperwork I have to deal with now. But I'm going to go ahead and post my discussion post underneath this link to this video, but to let everybody kind of know a little bit about where I'm coming from, because when I started this class last time, I was super excited. I had just finished my digital literacy and came into this, and this week, you know, I've had to always play to get through what I did for a living for 21 years. It's been a roller coaster, because I literally grew up right here 30 minutes away in a cult, in a religious cult of the Jesus People variety, of hippie Christians, sort of, that were good folks, but it was definitely a brainwashing that I rejected. This is Boo Radley. Anyways, I rejected it as a teenager, but I rejected it for another kind of brainwashing. That was blind patriotism of the Super Boy Scout variety that drove me to martial arts and hunting and survival, and then finally into the military. At 17, I went to boot camp, and there was still a Soviet Union. And I talk about some of this in the project that I did for this week the first time, which I'm going to recycle a little bit, but then add addendums and updates about what happened to me that week. And if you look at my discussion post that I put beneath this, there's going to be a paragraph that trails off where I was dictating into my Android tablet, and mid-stream of consciousness dictation, I hear my dog snarling at a woman screaming, and the last two words you'll read are April, April, which is my dog, who is a PTSD service dog, named April May June, that's in bed right now with Navin Johnson, the jerk. Never mind, it's too much trivia from Hollywood for some of you youngsters. But Boo Radley. Anyways, I'm off track. But anyways, I spent from 1991 to 2012 in the United States Navy, and retired as a commissioned officer after starting off enlisted at 17. And it was a horrible awakening towards the end of it, because throughout the years, and before I joined the Navy, my beginning of my senior year, I nearly drank myself out of the military before I ever went to boot camp, because I was a hooligan. And then I managed to get to boot camp and then live it up pretty hard, because I worked harder than 4 sailors, but I drank harder than 10. And I had to sober up. When I was 23, I sobered up. And they told me I wasn't going to make it to 30 when they did my blood work every month for 6 months until my liver work stabilized. I was death drinking after having had surgeries for an injury and opiates that led to power drinking when the opiates dried up. So I'm going to be upfront about that kind of stuff in these kind of videos for people who are interested. You won't have to watch it. And I'm going to try not to get too deep into anything right now, because some of my story might be trigger alerts for other folks. I'll have to give warnings for certain about what happened. But in 2009, I came home from my last deployment and was fed up with what we were doing in the world. At the same time, I was fed up with being emotionally and financially abused at home by not just my spouse, but my own blood family. And it's a tough story that it unfortunately happens to a lot of veterans, that the worst thing that ever happened to me was coming home sometimes. I was in the Navy, worked on ships in a high-tech job where I was literally a little Jimmy Neutron fixer, and played guitar in the ship's rock band. Man, I was a non-conforming hippie that joined the military, sort of. It's a weird story, and I'm going to tell more of it, but I'm not going to get into what led into the events just now for this discussion, but I've always had to make unpleasant situations more pleasant by pretending and playing. It was something else. And it's sort of a maladaptive coping skill if it's done too much. Walter Mitty style, reality bites, sometimes you gotta face it, but I've done plenty of that. And that was how I got to do what I did, was by doing a little Walter Mitty, thinking about things that I would do if this ever happened. And that's what being in the military is all about: training, drilling. And I was pretty good at that institutional living. I was pretty much volunteer slave for 21 years, and waking up from that the patriotism that I believed in was being spoon-fed to us, which gets into politics. And I've already talked about growing up in the cult, so I don't want to get to broaching too many topics where we're supposed to be discussing psychology, but it definitely has been an impact on me, and what's led me to have to choose a different profession after what I've been through. And I've been fighting it. You'll see in posts and stuff that I've written in my bio for school that I was already fighting myself, thinking that was it okay to seek my creative passions as a new career path. And now I'm fighting that, where that's what my children's mother's trying to say, and get the courts to say it, that I should just turn around and prostitute myself back to the defense industry and into technology jobs with the training I already have. And so I'm going to have to document these things for my children to see that I joined the military because I was willing to die for what I believed. I was a brainwashed little Boy Scout, twisted up. But I believed that I was brainwashed then, and I'd rather produce music and write my own words. So you'll get to see some of it. If anybody's interested, I'm going to start posting a lot of creative writing stuff that I've done, and my music. I've quit playing out in town over what happened to me over the last 6 weeks. I had a little project of doing improv with a group that sometimes we got paid to play at parties, just show up and jam. And we did it for free usually. Here's the best thing I ever got paid to play. I got paid money before, once. I never took it. I'm having a hard time figuring out how I want to monetize doing things. But anyways, I'm going to go ahead and post this video, a link to it, through Evernote, since everybody can use that at school. Introduce myself, I guess, that way. I maybe had a little bit too much fun at the beginning of the last time I started this class, and had a creative burst of energy that ended up getting sideswiped by events that I couldn't see coming. And I went from being real happy at the beginning of the class to within the end of the first week, things were starting to go downhill quickly. And I'll get into that in later topics if anyone's interested, because my YouTube channel is actually full of a bunch of crazy talk. I was mad. Got military with my high school friends, even went ridiculous, crazy. Mad in public. George Carlin had a saying about, oh, these are some of my babies. My 5-string with the vinyl life, my 8-string that is no longer an impediment with extra strings. It's just extra strings on a guitar. I had one of those stolen, and that's a replacement that's prettier. And that's my Thunder Axe. My favorite one to just take out and join a bunch of musicians. I haven't done it but once in the last 6 weeks. Drains a lot of energy out of me. I love a lot of the hippie people that I go out and play with, but some of them are little hooligans. I've been sober a couple of years now. It's hard for me to be a hooligan. At that time of night, I get grumpy. Uncle Phil gets sleepy. Time to post this, get done with homework for the week.